In this world, there are beasts guided by the gods, taking on human form as prophets. And there are humans cursed by evil gods, who descend upon the mortal world to slaughter all living things. Deep in the forest, a man was tightly surrounded by a pack of wolves. They are, without question, the rulers of this forest. Unfortunately, you picked the wrong target today. To be precise, an incarnation of the black dragon god. The Wolf King, seeing its little pups were no match for this man, leapt up toward the sky, but was effortlessly restrained. No matter how it struggled, it couldn't shake off that terrifying, monstrous strength. At this moment, a human silhouette suddenly flashed through the forest. He wasn't passing by, he was running purely to stay alive. But he didn't know that he had long since become someone else's prey. The bandits looked at him and only gave a mocking smile. Move it. At night in this forest, magical beasts run rampant. Did you notice? The number of magical beasts on this road is way lower than before. No sooner had he spoken than the bearded man was stunned by the scene before him. The ground was a complete mess, and the mangled limbs were covered in terrifying bite marks. It didn't look like a fight, more like a one-sided slaughter. Just then, a bandit suddenly shouted from within the crowd. "Hey, you guys, come here. Look at this." They saw a man with pitch-black arms, slumped beside the Wolf King's corpse. Don't tell me this guy is actually the leader of the wolf pack? Or is all of this his doing? Stop talking nonsense. Could a human leave claw marks and bite marks like these? The bandit was just about to reach out and check, when he was savagely bitten by a magical beast that looked like a lizard. Don't panic when something happens. Little things like this go down with a single slash. The bald man had only just raised his arm when the whole thing was snapped in half by a brutal blow. What's going on? Agonizing pain surged through him, and the bald man let out a hoarse, guttural scream. Shut up! You dare lay a hand on my little brother? Whoever so much as thinks about touching him again will end up just like that guy. Seeing this, everyone drew their weapons and slowly closed in. This brutal fight was clearly unavoidable. Noticing his men wavering, the bearded man immediately roared, "This bastard killed Hans." But the man merely glanced at the guy on the ground and said coolly, "Relax, he'll live for a while yet. If you save him now, you can still make it in time." To the bandits, those words were nothing less than blatant provocation. Everyone, together. Seeing their murderous intent rise, the man drew another black axe from his waist. As his anger mounted, black scales spread from his shoulders, gradually covering his entire body. The little brother at his side also shifted into a battle stance. At a single order from the bandit leader, the whole group swarmed forward. The man was in no hurry. He bent his knees slightly, and unleashed a rapid flurry of slashes. Wherever he passed, only severed limbs and wails of agony remained. His monstrous speed and strength forced the bandits to retreat again and again. The archer to the side was shaken, yet still seized the chance to launch a sneak attack from behind. Fire! The man's heart sank. By the time he turned around, it was too late to dodge. He grabbed his little brother and shielded him beneath his body, letting the arrows thud densely into his own back. The bearded man thought victory was assured and had just begun to gloat when the squad captain beside him sensed something ominous. His face suddenly changed. Black and crimson flames burst forth from the man's back. The arrows turned to ash in an instant. The black scales gathered over his entire body like living things, and the flames in midair twisted into the phantom forms of various magical beasts. Demonic energy surged violently, like a breached dam. A gigantic black dragon's head slowly emerged in everyone's field of vision. A sky-shaking roar echoed through the entire forest, and only then did the bandits realize this was no nightmare. In all my life, this is the first time I've seen something like this. His legs went weak, and his whole body trembled uncontrollably. The black scales almost swallowed the man's entire form. He wrestled desperately with his own feral instincts within his heart, and finally, with great effort, clawed back his consciousness. The beastly flames also vanished completely at that moment. Damn, my mind's starting to go fuzzy again. You need to run. The little brother stared in panic as the man collapsed. Meanwhile, the shadow perched in the treetops let out a chilling, piercing cackle. Fortunately, although the bandits had suffered heavy losses, they didn't execute the man on the spot. Instead, they dragged him back to their mountain stronghold. When the bandit chief recognized the true identity of the magical beast before him, his face utterly changed. This is the legendary Black Monarch, the Beast King that rules this entire forest. Don't tell me he really did all of this on his own. The little brother was bound in place by several wooden stakes, his face full of defiance. When the man woke, the first thing he did was warn everyone. You'd better deal with the Wolf King immediately, right now. If you don't, your deaths will be very ugly. The squad captain was just about to explode in curses when the chief stopped him with a grab. Young man, what's your name? Ananta. Cut the crap and do as I say. Otherwise, not a single one of you will walk out of here alive. Seeing the chief start to waver, the squad captain hurried to egg him on. Boss, you mustn't trust him. We saw him with our own eyes turn into a terrifying monster. Haven't you heard the rumor lately? They say the avatar of the demon god is roaming the continent. Wherever there are corpses, it appears to feed, and nothing grows in its wake. It's exactly the same as what we saw when we first entered the forest. This guy is definitely that demon god's incarnation in human skin. After hearing this, Ananta couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? Don't think I won't lay a hand on you. By your logic, I'm the demon god's avatar and I snack on mythical creatures every night. So tell me, do you really feel safe tying me up with a few little iron chains? Struck speechless by those words, the squad captain couldn't muster a single rebuttal. The moonlight grew brighter, and a gentle breeze brushed over the Wolf King's corpse. In what should have been a pitch-black night, a strange glow began to seep out. A few drops of fresh blood fell, drawing the chief's attention. With a very bad feeling, he lifted his head to look. The Wolf King, whose chest had been split open, actually began to stand up slowly. The squad captain clamped in its jaws. I already told you to deal with it as quickly as possible. Now it's no longer the Wolf King, but a puppet of the demon god, more terrifying than it ever was alive. Out in the wilds, the wolf corpses scattered everywhere were surging toward the stronghold like a tide. Behind them, a mysterious black shadow walked forward at an unhurried pace, radiating an overwhelming aura of the dead. Wherever it passed, flowers and grass withered instantly. It merely lifted its hand slightly and pointed toward the stronghold. The wolf corpses cast aside all sense of pain, forming layer upon layer of ladders made of bodies, hurling themselves over the walls. The assault, like popcorn hitting hot oil, caused the gate to crumble to dust in an instant. In the chaos, someone accidentally knocked over the campfire. The raging flames instantly swallowed the first wave of the wolf pack, yet the undead wolf corpses that poured in afterward came on in wave after relentless wave. Outside the stockade, the god of death let out a triumphant howl. Suddenly, a dark object flew out from within the stronghold. It was actually the Wolf King's severed head. Death turned its gaze toward the interior of the stronghold. A pitch-black figure could be seen slowly walking through the flames, tearing open the wall, muttering under his breath, "So hungry." The aura around him condensed into the ferocious outline of a black dragon. His killing intent like something crawling out of an Azura hell, more like the suffocating terror of prey being locked onto by a hunter. "And right now, I'm going to eat you." Facing that deer-shaped, death-god-like creature, he spoke coldly. "I have one flaw, I'm bad at everything, except killing you." Sensing his near-tangible killing intent, Death responded with an ear-splitting roar. Hooves thundered, and countless raging beast corpses charged into view. They were fearless warriors who felt no pain. However, it didn't help them one bit. Ananta lightly coiled strength into a single leg, and with just one strike, those beasts didn't even see how they'd been sent flying. Under this unstoppable onslaught, the beast horde lasted only 1 second. Death's fury rose higher and higher, and 2 streams of deathly energy flowed from its eyes. Accompanied by an ancient incantation, its body emitted eerie cracking sounds, its size and power doubling many times over. 2 waves of roaring crashed together in deafening echoes, and ferocious slashes crisscrossed through the air in streaks of blood-red light. With a single heavy punch, he sent the god of death flying dozens of meters away. Ananta casually flung the death god's severed arm aside, and at that moment, the scales on his body slowly receded. The death god's mangled body was on the verge of collapse. Ananta walked over slowly, only to be shocked to discover that inside that death god shell, there was actually a white-haired girl. Only then did Ananta finally notice that something was wrong with her. The girl's eyes were vacant, like a puppet whose soul had fled. It was obvious someone had stolen her mind. Suddenly, a bizarre figure tore through the night sky, and came to a halt in midair. It was a hawk-shaped demon. "Quite a lively day, why do you all keep lining up to throw yourselves at me?" The demon said nothing, fixing Ananta with a hard stare, its body slowly changing shape, until it became an old man. Only then did it speak. "How unbelievable. I didn't expect you to defeat my most beloved puppet. Since the moment you set foot on this continent, I've been watching you." Before he could finish, Ananta flung the white-haired girl aside with one motion. "You never shut up, chirping like a bird. Oh right, you are a bird. If you want to fight, then fight. Don't pollute my ears with your tastes and your life story." Hearing this, the demon, enraged, transformed again, summoning a bird's head and wings. "As long as I get rid of you, I'll obtain a puppet even more perfect than that deer. Rise." At his call, the people and beasts who had died earlier all stood up one after another, their corpses forcibly crammed with new souls. Ananta looked around and chuckled. "Now this is more like it, old man. That previous rubbish was no fun at all." At the demon's command, countless undead troops swarmed forward. In an instant, Ananta was surrounded so tightly not even water could leak through. Brat, let's see how arrogant you can be now. I doubt you can even use a fraction of your power anymore. The demon gathered all his strength and smashed down a blow aimed straight at a vital point. Old man, I thought you might at least surprise me. This is it. Open those bird eyes of yours and take a good look. Who's really the prey here? A red light flared, and the undead army turned to dust in the blink of an eye. The sight before him scared the demon so badly he nearly pissed himself. What is this? What terrified him wasn't just the pressure Ananta released, but that black dragon head formed entirely from condensed aura. About time to say goodnight, old man. The dragon's head opened its bloody maw and came crashing down, and in that instant the demon's body was ripped into 4 pieces. Yet that was only the beginning. What awaited him was not stomach acid, but an Azura hell forged from the wills of hundreds of magical beasts. Countless beasts gnawed madly at his soul, and while they ate, they still found time to sneer. Welcome, new friend, to our big family. As the demon fell, clarity slowly returned to the white-haired girl's eyes. But before she could sort out what had happened, that sky-blotting demonic aura crashed down like a tidal wave, scaring her so badly her legs went weak. Ananta noticed the change in her as well. He merely turned and glanced back at her, and that look pinned the white-haired girl in place. She didn't even dare to swallow, as if the slightest movement would trigger the man's killing intent. As if something had occurred to him, Ananta asked, "Have you already broken free from the demon god's control?" The moment she heard that, her head began to throb as if it would split. From the depths of her memories, a dazzling figure of light emerged, its pure white wings so blinding she couldn't look straight at them. Hearing this, Ananta immediately grew wary. "If I'm not mistaken, you're a victim of those wings, just like I am, aren't you?" The white-haired girl was utterly confused. She had no idea what he was talking about. What he said next completely overturned her world. "Some things may be cruel for you to hear, but I have to make them clear. I am a descendant of the dragon race, and a survivor of that great extermination. And the god you worship is the true culprit behind that slaughter." The white-haired girl lowered her head, her voice trembling. "I don't understand what you're saying." A sudden wave of dizziness swept over her, and she collapsed onto the ground. "Boss, is she okay?" "She's fine. Her breathing's normal. I probably dumped too much information on her at once. She's a little overloaded." At that moment, the white-haired girl was inside her own dream. This place was both familiar and strange to her. "It's been so many years. Where did I go wrong? Why won't you let me go? Everyone treats me like some bloodthirsty monster, but I'm clearly not that kind of person." A tear slid down, and in its reflection appeared the memories she least wanted to recall. Despair, fear, and loneliness intertwined, and everything unfolding before her forced her to admit she herself had been the center of that catastrophe. Just as she was about to be completely drowned in self-doubt, a warm light suddenly shone behind her. It came so timely, and so gently warm. "That strange dream again. You sure can sleep. I thought you'd never wake up. One look at your sleeping face and I knew you were having a nightmare. Ruby, get over here. I'll leave the rest to you." A spark gathered in his mouth, and the flame he breathed out instantly devoured the piled-up remains. Those souls that had never belonged to these beasts to begin with were finally and completely set free at that moment. This way of doing things really is exactly the same as those lunatics. It's finally over. We can catch our breath. "Hey, did you forget something?" Didn't forget. I can tell you really worked hard this time." "What are you doing?" "Shut up, you trashy peddler of information." Then he pointed at the white-haired girl and snapped, "This thing is what your intel was about? And you still have the nerve to grin at me? Job's done, now hand over the gold coins." "Don't be so hasty, it really does hurt, you know." The rabbit twitched its ears and turned to the white-haired girl. "Can you tell me your name?" "My name is Nadia." "Didn't expect this at all. Another victim, just like Ananta." "Dead rabbit, if you don't want me feeding you to Ruby." I know, you're really impatient." "Ah, we're heading out now." As the pocket watch burst into light, the ground beneath their feet began to shake violently. The next second, a large hole opened under them, and all 3 of them fell straight down through it together. Nadia was so startled by the sudden drop that she screamed, cold sweat sliding down her forehead. Are these 2 insane? Couldn't they at least give a warning first? She had just opened her eyes when the sight before her stunned her. Could this be the legendary Otherworld? "Sorry, Nadia, I'm late with my self-introduction. Shouldn't you apologize first for suddenly digging a hole? I'm the greatest information broker on this continent, a member of the Rabbit Paw family. You can call me Whitefoot. The relationship between Ananta and me is anything but ordinary. The sacred tree before us is called the White Lotus Tree. And one more thing. Please wait. Of course I'm grateful you saved me from the evil god, but why did you have to bring me to a place like this? Since you're so curious, come with me. I'll give you a satisfying answer." When Nadia asked Ananta about the winged avatar, the answer she got was, A suspicious-tasting roast chicken sticks a feather in its ass and dares to call itself a god? Seeing Nadia's face full of question marks, Whitefoot had to add an explanation. The wings, like the other gods, grant power. But her power is more like a curse. Nadia stayed silent for a long time. This is the largest slave market in the cafe city. They're fugitives and vagrants captured by slave hunters. As long as you pay enough, there's no kind of slave you can't buy here, including magical beasts so powerful they're nearly impossible to tame. Whitefoot stopped walking, and Nadia's face was full of confusion. So why did you bring me here? You'll understand in a moment. Ananta kicked her square in the back, and Nadia tumbled 2.5 times across the ground. Wait, did this guy take the wrong medicine or something? She was just about to explode when she suddenly realized something was wrong. In this dark, cramped basement, there were actually that many living people tied up. They're all living sacrifices to be offered to the winged avatar. The reason that sacred tree you saw outside has grown so enormous is that it's been watered with the flesh and blood of these sacrifices. If you want to see the winged avatar, you first have to serve as bait. Nadia never imagined that the man who had just saved her would, in the blink of an eye, sell her out completely. Leave this woman to you to watch. I'm heading to the arena. Seeing Ananta turn to leave, Nadia couldn't help raising her voice. Wait, answer me one question. All these people locked up here, were they all captured by you? So what if they were? This way, you can get what you wanted and meet the winged avatar. Are you even human? You'll stoop to anything to get what you want? These humans who are weaker than you are all innocent. Don't you feel even a little guilty? Ananta merely looked at her quietly, said nothing, and turned his head and left. So this guy thinks as long as he doesn't get his own hands dirty, he can just do whatever he wants? But Whitefoot's words almost broke through her defenses. Don't forget, these people in cages were originally meant to be offered to the avatar of the god you worship. If you think about what would have happened to them, I almost feel like crying myself. You vile rabbit. I just love the look on your face when you hate me but can't kill me. Also, drop the innocent act. Until just now, you were still under the control of the demon god. Compared to the ones you personally killed, these people are just a tiny fraction. Even if it wasn't your intention, you can't escape responsibility. Ananta and I both understand how you feel, because we share a common enemy. The White Lotus Temple, where the winged avatar resides, is at the top of the sacred tree. Only those who offer tribute to the temple are qualified to receive a ticket into the arena. The victor not only gains the blessing of the White Lotus tree, but also, as a guardian of the avatar, receives an even more vicious power from the avatar. What on earth did Ananta go through? I can't explain the details clearly either. But one thing is certain, he's not only a descendant of the Black Dragon, he's the embodiment of vengeance who survived the annihilation of his race. At this point, he may already have surpassed that lord. On the other side of the arena, Ananta was preparing for battle. How did the things I asked you to do turn out? Whitefoot wore a look of wanting credit. Everything's going exactly according to your plan. Ananta's soft-hearted in the end. He chose the hardest path. If from the start he'd decided to massacre civilians indiscriminately to draw the enemy's attention, it would have been easy. But if he did that, he'd cross the line between human and beast, and he'd never again be able to call himself human. You dare stare at me with that poor worm look, itching for a beating, are you? I wouldn't dare, how would I dare? Perfect. I still haven't fully digested that old bird. I'll take this as some post-meal exercise. You just stay and watch. I'm leaving Ruby to you. If I find even one hair missing from him, then roast rabbits on the menu tonight. You say that, but boss, does Ruby even have hair? Shut up. It's time to teach this flock of newbies what real power is. Right then in the arena, the fourth squad was already lined up and ready. The fate of the previous teams was that they couldn't even last a minute. To be honest, I kind of want to go home now. Same. Can a handful of people really deal with a high-ranked monster like this? Form up a defensive line and don't let it find an opening. The power in that thing's front claws is insane. Hey, you're in the way. Why make such a fuss over something you can handle with your bare hands? What an arrogant human. A mere mortal dares to act so presumptuous before this king. You will pay for your foolishness today. In your next life, remember not to be so arrogant again. This one really doesn't know the meaning of restraint. That speed, that strength. It's over, little wildcat. With Ananta's roar, the arena erupted into near-hysterical cheers. Wash your neck and wait for me. Soon I'll come up there, pluck out every last one of your feathers, slice you up, and eat you raw. Ananta's reason for entering the arena, aside from obtaining the branch that would let him meet the avatar, included another point. The barrier outside the White Lotus tree was terrifyingly strong. A frontal assault was completely unrealistic. To carry out the assassination, they needed a perfect piece of bait to throw the enemy's inner circle into chaos. and Nadia was the most suitable candidate in this entire revenge plan. The great doors of the White Lotus Temple slowly opened, and the crowd was herded into this place of despair where they were to be offered up alive. The moment Nadia stepped inside, she was overwhelmed by the grandeur of the scene. This White Lotus Temple built on the sacred tree, it's actually such a magnificent palace. A sudden pressure swept over her, making her whole body tense up. This guy, could he be? Mortals, do not be afraid. Welcome to the goddess's temple. You who have lost your way in the abyss, raise your heads. My god, is this a deity? I am the master of this White Lotus tree, and the avatar of the goddess's enlightenment in the mortal world. The loving goddess granted me the power to rival all darkness. My name, Balzac. To be chosen as sacrifices is your honor as mortals. Your bodies shall gain eternity together with the sacred tree. However, a sudden cry from within the temple cut off his sermon. Lord Balzac, please spare my little sister. She's still too young. Balzac walked forward with a smile and said gently, kind soul, express your reverence for the goddess with a devout heart. Thank you. Hope in everyone's hearts was mercilessly extinguished. Nadia's anger burned inside her as she finally saw the truth clearly. I'm going to kill you with my own hands. What touching sisterly love. Your little sister was already freed from fear and could have gone on her way in peace. You ought to be thanking me. The Avatar's guardians beside him sensed something was off. There's something wrong with this woman. Deathly energy slowly seeped out from within Nadia, and the guardians were stunned by that overwhelming force. This black aura is wrong. I can't move my body. You're no savior at all. Stop pretending to be merciful and benevolent. Interesting. So there's another avatar hiding among the sacrifices. The leaking deathly aura slowly took on physical form. The screams of the crowd drew Nadia's attention. Monster. It's a monster. Help. Those terrified eyes once again awakened the demon in her heart. Am I going back to that again? But a voice, at that crucial moment, yanked her back from the abyss. Don't resist it. Go and reclaim who you really are. I don't know who you are, but thank you anyway. A dormant power was awakened. A vast force of the forest burst up through the ground, and in the blink of an eye, everyone was wrapped up in thick tree trunks. Don't be afraid, everyone. I'll get every last one of you out of here. Suddenly, a heavy blow struck Nadia square in the face. A mere little deer dares to act so arrogant before me? Even if you possess two different powers, your avatar is nothing but a nobody from some distant land. Looks like you've been stuck in this godforsaken backwater too long. I have a name, Nadia, the forest avatar of Mother Nature. Ignorant little deer, you still don't understand what is truly called divine power. As the branches grew madly, a gigantic war hammer took shape and came crashing straight down toward Balzac. That's it? The power of a god exists to make you kneel, not to let you defy. With just a single finger, he effortlessly shattered the war hammer that had gathered all of Nadia's strength. The violent explosion drew everyone's attention and made Ananta realize that things over there were escalating far faster than he'd expected. What unfolded before her eyes also made Nadia instantly understand. This guy was on a completely different level from her as an avatar. Suspended in midair was a gigantic golden birdcage. With a snap of his fingers, the cage slammed heavily into the ground. Nadia stared intently, and within the smoke she saw an even larger dark silhouette slowly emerge. That bird is dangerous, run. Nadia's pupils shrank sharply. When did these two-bone spikes stab into me? I never even saw him move. Your courage does impress me a little, but what a pity, someone of your size isn't even enough to get stuck between my undead bone bird's teeth. On the other side, Ananta had just finished off the last magical beast in the arena. With the deathmatch concluded, the Guardians brought out the victor's prize. Duke Bernhard showed a meaningful smile, for the item in that chest was the key that would grant access to the top of the White Lotus tree. Meanwhile, inside the temple, Nadia had already been pierced by the bone spikes and was gravely wounded. Behind her stood the civilian she had sworn to protect. And before her loomed an undead bone bird whose true power was unfathomable. The situation was utterly stacked against her. Take a good look at the people behind you. It's because a monster like you appeared that they're so terrified. Am I really a monster? That suggestion really isn't bad. Given the current situation, Nadia only has one choice left, to become the deer-shaped god of death and beat that bloodthirsty demon senseless. Seeing this, Balzac's interest was piqued as well. I admit, your persistence does move me. So, if I use that move as well, how exactly will you respond? Nadia snapped her head around, her heart sinking. The ground beneath her shook violently, and in a single instant everyone inside the protective barrier was impaled by countless branches. At the same time, masses of branches erupted madly from beneath the bone bird's feet, racing to stab into its body. This is the great art bestowed upon me by the winged goddess. To witness her authority is an honor beyond measure for you. The branches of the white lotus tree glowed with an eerie red light, which slowly flowed into the undead bone bird. Those red lights were in fact the souls of the people hanging from those branches. The ecstasy of power made Balzac's whole body tremble. With a mere flick of his hand, all the trunks Nadia had summoned withered and crumbled. The guardians, drawn by that power, began to mutate, and in that moment, the immortal puppet corpses were truly born. The roar of the undead bone bird nearly drowned out Nadia. Under its oppressive might, she couldn't move at all. Damn, I can't muster any strength. Balzac raised his palm slightly, and thick branches instantly bound Nadia tight. Don't forget whose domain this is. Your avatar, in my eyes, is nothing more than an appetizer. Arrogant little dear, I'll give you a chance to live. Answer me, what is 1000 minus 7? If you're going to kill me, then kill me. I don't want to see that disgusting face of yours again. Just as Balzac was about to raise his hand and finish her, a great door suddenly burst open. A streak of red light shot across like a meteor, a dark figure hurtling straight at Balzac. Ananta stepped into the temple and saw Nadia collapse to the side as well, and couldn't suppress the smile tugging at his lips. You two look like you're having a great time. Balzac's eyes instantly locked onto the white lotus branch in his hand. This guy, he actually used the arena's rules to get up here and assassinate me? He turned to look outside the hall. The temple grounds were already a complete ruin. After seeing Balzac's face clearly, Ananta couldn't help but frown. Hey, I told you to go find the winged avatar. You ran over here to play with some bird? That line left Nadia completely dumbfounded. You little brat, shut your filthy mouth. You dare insult the great winged avatar? I'll rip your mouth apart and tear out that foul tongue of yours. So that's how it is. Nadia, there's something you need to understand. This stupid chicken in front of you is not the winged avatar at all. Meanwhile, outside the temple, Bernhard one-shot the Guardian with a single slash, and the melee between both sides escalated into total chaos. Brothers, with me. Leave no survivors. The commotion outside finally drew the attention of the three inside the hall. The first thing Bernhard saw upon stepping into the temple was the staircase leading upward, strewn with the severed limbs of guardians. Back in the hall, the three faced off, the clash ready to explode at any second. After hearing Ananta's words, Nadia's face was filled with disbelief. So all this time, he was a fake? Isn't that obvious? The goddess gave him that grandiose name to match the 3 pairs of white wings of the true avatar. But this thing in front of us can't even grow a proper single pair of wings. How's that any different from a chicken? You've made me laugh this hard. I really ought to give you a proper reward. Balzac's face changed dramatically when he heard this. He actually knows that much about the winged avatar? At his command, the mutated guardians hurled themselves at Ananta all at once. Ananta's hands turned into dragon claws, and with a casual sweep he sliced the sacred tree cleanly in half. Freed at last from Balzac's bindings, Nadia once again thanked Ananta. Save it. Leave the rest to me. Go wherever you want. Only then did Nadia notice a faint stirring within the dead wood, and, ignoring her own safety, she rushed toward the 2 unconscious children. Sensing danger, Ananta shouted at once. Get back! The guardians seized the chance to close in, only for their heads to be smacked flying by a single palm strike from Ananta. As power built bit by bit in Balzac's mouth, countless bone spikes poured down like a torrential rain, swallowing Ananta completely in an instant. Nadia shielded the 2 children with all her strength, allowing the branches to stab madly around her. As the dust slowly settled, a massive black figure slowly raised its head into view, Ananta in his black dragon form. Before the headless bone bird could even react, the black shadow was already in its face. Ananta slammed into it like a cannonball. The huge body, now missing its bird head, crashed heavily to the ground. In the next instant, Ananta's heart clenched. He sensed the danger, but it was already too late to dodge. I admit, you are indeed very strong. Strong enough to witness the full extent of the power the goddess has granted me. No sooner had Balzac spoken than a strange halo lit up behind him. His talon foot pointed at Ananta on the ground. Damn, this guy is about to. Dare to come near me with that filthy mouth, and you are blaspheming the gods. The heavy blow of those talons not only tore both of Ananta's arms apart, but the spilling shockwave also shattered the ground into cracks. Ananta let out a roar, and black miasma gushed from his wounds like a spring. Within the dark fog, an even thicker dragon claw slowly took shape. Balzac was stunned by the sight. Just what is this guy? Ananta gathered the fury of his severed arms into his palm, and with a sudden swing, blood-red energy shot out along with the slash. Balzac hurriedly raised the sacred tree as a shield, yet still ended up decapitated, his head and body cut apart. The tearing pain wrenched a scream from him, and the illusion of his form completely collapsed in that moment. Seeing this, cold sweat ran down Nadia's back. Thankfully, Ananta actually held back when he attacked me before. Ananta was just about to step forward and finish him off when, to his surprise, the headless undead bone bird slowly began to rise again. This time the impact was like a meteor strike. Ananta twisted and dove aside at the last instant, barely dodging it. He got to his feet and looked back, only to see, deep in the mist, an even more terrifying shadow slowly revealing itself. Snapping back to his senses, Ananta leapt again, an even fiercer clash was about to begin. At the same time, the sky split open with a strange rift, and a godlike black silhouette slowly descended. The pressure it radiated made it almost impossible to breathe, and its destination was the temple atop the white lotus tree. As Ananta and Balzac clashed once more, in the blink of an eye Ananta burst into motion, and with a single claw pierced straight through Balzac's chest. Though gravely wounded, Balzac refused to miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He suddenly thrust a taloned foot upward to point, and the spot where Ananta was about to land was instantly bound tight by the sacred tree's branches. Weren't you good at running? Try running again now. The undead bone bird's ribcage snapped open, and countless bone spikes fired wildly like a sudden storm. In an instant, the entire temple was drowned in the sounds of explosions. Nadia, frantic with worry, could only scream Ananta's name over and over. A black shadow flashed past, circling around behind Balzac. By the time he realized it, it was already too late. A storm-like barrage of blows came crashing down. His bone claws lashed out in a panic, only to be easily dodged. The damage from that combo wasn't exactly fatal, but the humiliation was immense. Balzac was so furious he started cursing outright. No sooner had Ananta landed than Balzac was stunned by the sight of those feet in front of him. What's with those legs? Don't tell me he can freely change into other creatures as well. Nadia, however, saw it all clearly. Just before the bone spikes hit, Ananta had used his own dragon claws to sever both his feet, forcibly avoiding a mortal wound. And in that brief instant he was airborne, he had already finished regenerating them. Ananta's terrifying adaptability and regenerative power sent Balzac into deep thought. To truly bring him down, I have to restrain him first and kill him in a single blow. I can't give him any chance to recover. As his skill activated, the whole temple shook violently. What trick is this guy trying now? The ground under Ananta's feet suddenly heaved upward, and countless sacred branches surged toward him in bundles, thicker and far more powerful than before. Dodging between them, Ananta glanced at Balzac. The white lotus tree is feeding him power nonstop. Even the damage I just dealt has been completely healed. If this drags on, it'll only get worse for me. The tremors running through the temple set the entire white lotus tree swaying. And that was exactly what Ananta had been waiting to see. He focused his strength into his legs, then exploded upward in a leap straight for the ceiling. His move left both of them stunned for a second. He actually gave up the terrain advantage he had on the ground? Ananta's fist crashed into the temple's vaulted ceiling. You've got to be kidding me, is this guy brain damaged? He came up here just to tear my house down. As rubble rained down, Ananta lost his footing, turning into a sitting duck in midair. Balzac laughed wildly as he closed in. Now your hands and feet are both useless. Do you really think you can still kill me? While Balzac advanced step by step, Ananta only drawled out a question. Up to now, how many people have you killed in total? The question made Balzac chuckle. What chicken keeps count of how many grains of rice it's eaten? That answer pleased Ananta. So you really don't know how heavy a single life is. As he spoke, a pair of black wings tore open behind Ananta's back. A deluge of deathly energy erupted at once, surging straight up to the heavens. With the activation of the Soul of the Dead skill, Ananta's third-stage dragon form stepped into the realm of a bone dragon. And that was thanks to that death-seeking demon. Before long, an eerie unrest stirred from the ceiling above. Balzac slowly raised his head, scalp prickling. The people he'd hung from the sacred tree earlier were all back on their feet. And the moment they left the tree, Balzac lost his access to their souls. Countless undead turned and began to tear into him in a frenzy. The sight made Nadia's legs go weak with fear. To be honest, I'm curious too. Does this chicken actually taste any good? In just a short while, Balzac was swallowed up completely by the mountain of sins he'd piled up himself. He spent the last of his strength just to crawl out from under the heap of corpses. Drained in at the end of his rope, Balzac launched one final charge at Nadia. Even if I die here today, I'll drag at least one of you down with me. Yet against his expectations, a crisp detonation rang out from the sky, and a beam of golden light shot straight down, slamming into Balzac head-on. The bursting radiance was so bright it was almost impossible to keep one's eyes open. When the smoke cleared, Balzac's head was pinned to the ground like a soccer ball under someone's foot. Just meeting that person's gaze sent cold sweat running down Nadia's temples. Then the moment that stranger suddenly dropped to one knee made a chill run all the way up her spine. "I have come to receive you, my lord. Was your journey pleasant?" At that moment, the little boy behind Nadia slowly got to his feet. A sense of extreme danger flashed through her mind. The boy's hair grew wildly, flowing into a head of sleek long hair. His small body rapidly expanded. In the blink of an eye, the figure before them was none other than the rumored final boss, the true winged avatar of the goddess herself. The moment Guillaume stood up, Nadia only met his gaze for a second, and a strange pain swept through her whole body from within. It was as if the power in her body was being forcibly brought into resonance by his existence. Nadia looked doubtfully at his back. This man, just who is he? The dying Balzac slowly raised his head, and the instant he saw who had arrived, his eyes almost popped out in terror. Could you be Guillaume? How could you appear here? Seems your memory's not bad. At least you still remember who I am. How could I possibly forget? I ended up like this today all thanks to you, my cold and ruthless former master. As soon as he finished speaking, Guillaume simply gestured upward with his hand. The guardian immediately tore Balzac's broken body free and dragged him to stand before the winged avatar. Among the first lives we created, only those with value were allowed to stand in the sky. Tell me, do you deserve it? I was once your most loyal servant. I admired you and feared you. Just because I wanted to learn to fly like you, you tore off my wings with your own hands, and even went so far as to slaughter tens of thousands. I turned myself into this just so I could grow wings again. Before he could finish, Guillaume raised his hand and lightly pressed his palm to Balzac's chest. The answer he gave was only 6 words. You are completely worthless. The next second, a blinding light swallowed Balzac. When the light faded, his body had turned entirely to ash, leaving only a single twig that rolled out from the cinders. Nothing more than a composite of the sacred tree's power. Still far beneath the tree from the other world. Compared to that weakling, what Guillaume clearly cared about more was that woman named Nadia. In the ruins not far away, a beast slowly opened its eyes. Ananta could never forget that man's voice for as long as he lived. It came from a path sealed away for many years. Yuyo's dream was to find the horizon that led to the divine realm on this continent. For that, he was willing to become the enemy of the whole world. And the small tribe that had once sheltered Ananta, along with that sister who had been endlessly gentle to him, on the day Guillaume left, all turned into ash and charcoal. The scene cuts back to the present. Guillaume walked up to the woman who was connected to him in some way. Rage instantly shattered the shackles of pain on Ananta's body. It's been 20 years. I've been looking for you, for a full 20 years. Grief and hatred converged in that moment into a blade of vengeance. Ananta swung both arms fiercely, and razor-sharp blades of blood shot straight toward Guillaume. Yet this strike was casually blocked by the guardian's raised hand. Guillaume only showed a meaningful smile. The suddenly raging Ananta let out a deafening roar. Some random small fry thinks he can block my path? He rushed at the guardian at high speed, but the guardian floored him with a single punch. His head blasted apart in an instant. Yet in just a heartbeat, the headless Ananta actually stood up again. The guardian asked with interest, "May I ask your excellency's name?" Ananta's only response was an enraged howl. "Since we can't talk, then less nonsense. This punch contains all of my strength. Can you withstand it?" The scene shifts, and Guillaume and Nadia lock eyes. Just as Guillaume was about to move to finish Nadia, a battle axe howled through the air. It cleaved toward his cheek, only to cut nothing but empty space. What level is this guy's speed? Long time no see, Bernhard. After all this time, you still haven't learned to give up. Even that pitch-black guy hasn't decided to give up. So what right does a small fry like me have to give up, right? The guardian then noticed something strange about Ananta, and kicked out to open some distance. Ananta's form began to spiral out of control. His size swelled with his mounting rage, and a pair of giant wings burst open from his back. A heaven-shaking dragon's roar left everyone present frozen in place. Guillaume looked at the black dragon before him and chuckled. Looks like my luck is pretty good today. So many old friends came specially to welcome me. Elsewhere, in the distance, Whitefoot was reporting the situation inside the temple to someone. Meanwhile, the unhinged Ananta was trapped in his own memories. He was forced to face both unbearable memories of the past and a black giant dragon tens of meters tall. This black giant dragon was the very source of Ananta's power. The stronger his desire, the more power he could draw from the black dragon. And the only price the black dragon demanded was the anger and vengeance accumulating bit by bit in his heart. At this moment, Ananta was completely lost. His size and strength multiplied, to the point that even the guardian began to doubt. Is this guy still the same person from just now? Golden light flared all over the guardian's body, while Ananta's dragon breath slowly gathered in his mouth. Their attacks blasted out at the same time, and where they collided, they set off a cataclysmic shockwave. The surging aftershock rolled outward, but was easily blocked by the wings Gyuyo spread. This kid's actually willing to burn himself out just to try and defeat me, and can still keep his heart from wavering. Bernhard seized the instant Gyuyo was distracted, and, bearing the resolve to avenge his fallen comrades, charged straight in. Right as he swung his axe, Gyuyo's figure flickered, appearing behind him in an instant. With a clang, the silver-scaled breastplate and the battle axe hit the ground together. Go keep your good brothers company. Bernhard rose once more like a war god descended. You may defeat my body, but you will never beat me. After finishing off Bernhard, Gyuyo again walked up to Nadia. I can see you're terrified. You're no different from the way you were before. Nadia weakly lifted her head and looked at Gyuyo. Those memories that had once been missing finally resurfaced in full at that moment. In her loneliest, most helpless time, the one who reached out a hand to her was this very man before her. Gyuyo pressed his hand to his own chest. The branch inside me is trembling. That means you too are someone chosen by that great tree. He brushed past her, as if ready to leave. Nadia, unable to hold back, immediately voiced her questions about the branch. Branches are the source of power that the gods bestowed upon mortal creatures. Not only can they allow you to take human form, they will also grant you talents and skills beyond the ordinary. No sooner had he spoken than Gyuyo quietly pressed that twig into the corpse shell of the undead bone bird. In an instant, lightning burst from between the bones, countless arcs shooting straight into the sky. When the lightning dispersed, a blond boy appeared out of thin air. This childlike figure was the true form of the bone bird that had been imprisoned for many years, and Gyuyo's brother of the same origin, Ziz. On the other side, the battle between the Guardian and Ananta was still raging. Ananta's giant dragon claws slammed down once more, and after the clash, the Guardian's advantage was already gone without a trace. In the face of third-stage Ananta, he was like a toy. Just as he was struggling to think of a countermeasure, Ananta suddenly spread both wings. With a light beat, the entire giant dragon shot through the temple roof like a cannonball. He soared straight into the sky and kicked up a storm of dust. Ziz watched the scene, a hint of worry flashing across his face. Dio only raised his hand and gently ruffled his hair. Don't be afraid. That warmth slowly soothed his unease. At this moment, high in the air, Ananta was beginning to gather energy. In just a moment, his ultimate strike containing all his power, celestial fire, took shape. With a sudden flap of his wings, that massive fireball tore through the sky straight toward the temple. Facing this crushing blast of annihilating fire from above, Gyuyo only slowly raised his palm. You dare look down on us with something like this? Let me tell you, there's long since no place in this sky for your dragon kind. Light flared as it crashed into celestial fire, piercing through the flames at near light speed. At such a terrifying speed, Ananta had no time to dodge. The force of the blow shattered the layers of clouds directly. Watching from afar, Ruby was almost sobbing as it called out to Ananta. This is Whitefoot, reporting the battle situation. We can now confirm the location of the winged avatar. After this battle, the White Lotus Divine Tree has been utterly destroyed. Granted, that is indeed thanks to him using borrowed strength, which is a bit underhanded. But our only trump card, Avatar of Vengeance, Black Dragon Ananta, has been defeated. A long time ago, in the wilderness of a mysterious land, the stars of speed and thrill were a lizard being relentlessly chased by 5 hounds. Boss, we've been following you for 3 days and we're starving. We haven't even had a bite of crap. Can you give me this hot lizard? Get lost. First come first served, understand? Suddenly, an axe flew in from who knows where, nailing one of the hounds in the head. With a shout of "fall back," Ananta's dashing figure appeared before Ruby for the first time. With one swing of the axe, he killed the lead hound. Looking at the imposing Ananta in front of them, and their boss lying motionless on the ground, the remaining 2 hounds had no choice but to turn and flee. Ananta snorted proudly. Piece of cake. In Ruby's eyes, at that moment he was a big shot 2 meters tall. It was noon, and 1 man, 1 lizard, and 1 dog were resting in the shade behind a giant rock. Ruby wagged its tail like crazy to curry favor, and though Ananta knew exactly what he was up to, he pretended not to see. Hey, little guy, why do you keep following me? Ruby said nothing, just kept nodding and wagging its tail. You look all skin and bones, must taste terrible. In one sentence, he provoked Ruby into biting him. You little punk asking for a beating? Ruby, however, had a deadly serious look and then actually spat out a ball of fire. Aren't you a lizard? Why can a lizard breathe fire? Don't tell me, you're a dragon? Back then, you couldn't be bothered with me. Now, you're not worthy of me. Just as he finished speaking, the ground suddenly began to shake violently. Ananta's heart tightened, and he turned to look at the big rock they were using for shade. A colossal behemoth that blotted out the sky slowly stuck its head out. So you're the brat who lit the fire on my backside just now? Ananta ran flat out, with an enraged rhino on his tail. A few steps ahead was the cliff-edge desert. At the last possible moment, he leapt. Jumping off this cliff really does make your legs go numb. To top it off, there was even a stranger sitting in the desert. But Ananta had no time to think. The rock-armored rhino's relentless pursuit was something everyone on this wasteland knew about. If you've got that much energy, then I'll properly play with you. Let me show you what the true power of a black dragon descendant is. No sooner had he spoken than that figure suddenly appeared behind Ananta. When did he move there? The moment he took off his cloak, the young Gyuyo appeared before Ananta for the first time. Though the rock-armored rhino was the lord of the desert, the second it smelled danger. One look from Gyuyo scared it into turning tail and bolting. Ananta didn't know what had happened, but one thing was clear, this man was strong. Gyuyo greeted him kindly. "Little one, are you all right?" It was this chance meeting that set the gears of fate turning between the two of them. And for Ananta, the direction those gears would turn led to an abyss deep enough to overturn his entire life. When Ananta returned to the tribe, he was met at once with everyone's concern and nagging. "You brat, you were gone so long you didn't even say a word to your sister." When someone asked who the stranger at Ananta's side was, he stammered, not sure how to introduce him. A familiar voice came from behind, his sister's stern tone and familiar nagging. "You snuck off to the mysterious land again, didn't you? What if something happened? And what's with that lizard on your head? Let's not talk about that. Sis, let me introduce you. This is Mr. Duyo. He's the one who saved me." His sister's sudden violent coughing fit cut him off. Her palms were full of bright red blood. "Ashada, are you all right? Get back to your room. Your body's not well yet, don't run around." At that time, Ananta had no idea that the real tragedy was just about to begin. In the blink of an eye, everyone gathered in the chief's great tent. While serving lavish food, the chief solemnly thanked Gyuyo. "As repayment for saving a member of our tribe, you may enjoy the best hospitality and convenience our tribe can offer." This result pleased Gyuyo greatly, because this place was exactly what he'd been looking for. Ruby's natural intuition faintly sensed the danger on Gyuyo. That familiar look made it shrink back behind Ananta. In the end, the chief decided, "While you stay here, Ananta will act as your guide." Ananta didn't even have time to protest before he took a sharp smack as a warning. Afterward, full of curiosity, he asked Gyuyo about his purpose. Gyuyo didn't beat around the bush, openly stating that he was an adventurer specializing in geography and avatar studies. As he spoke, he drew out a yellowed piece of parchment from his robe. "These years, I've traveled the entire continent collecting all kinds of legends and tales. And in this dark red desert there's a legend about an avatar." The chief pressed him. "Which avatar is it that you seek, sir?" "His name is Ajidahaka, one of the 6 original avatars to receive divine power from the gods, and the strongest among the 6. Once, he was revered and worshipped by mortals, and people called him the avatar of the demon. The black dragon is his race and his mark of identity." Not long after, Ashada drank down the tonic Gyuyo had sent over. At last a bit of long-lost color returned to her cheeks. After a short rest, Gyuyo said he needed to go out again to survey the terrain. Naturally, he wouldn't go without his guide. In her usual gentle tone, his sister called Ananta over, and, as always, she showed an angelic smile. "Be careful on the road. I'll be waiting for you to come back. Don't worry, sis. When I return, I'll bring you loads of good food." Before leaving, Ananta glanced back, and was surprised to find the adult's eyes on him were especially heavy. He vaguely sensed something, but didn't dare think further. The two of them trekked for about half an hour, and stopped to rest by a river. Ananta asked Gyuyo about the progress of his recent investigations. "If you can't find the result you want, will you go somewhere else to keep searching?" Gyuyo spoke slowly. "What we know so far is only the fragmented history of the Black Dragon descendants. It's said that long ago, your ancestors were attacked by invaders, and those invaders were repelled by a black dragon holding the demon god's power. Your tribe was able to take root in this desert thanks to reverence for that demon god they feared. Yet when it comes to the black dragon, the villagers avoid the topic like a taboo." He suddenly noticed the wounds on Ananta. "Did you sneak out to hunt again?" Ananta only asked him to help keep it secret. It turned out his parents had died when he was very young, killed by some strange illness. The burden of raising him fell entirely on his sister alone. "But now sis is sick too. I have to grow up and take care of her." The mood heavy, Ananta changed the subject. "Why are you so obsessed with finding avatars?" "Because the avatars hold secret treasures granted by the gods. Each treasure represents the source of power for one deity. The divine power of the 6 great avatars is far beyond common sense. If someone could gather all the treasures, that person would surely stand at the very peak of this continent. So the thing in that ancient ruin was..." With that unintentional remark, Gyuyo's expression changed on the spot. Well now, kid, you really do know something. Hurry and tell me. Realizing he'd slipped up, Ananta had no choice but to speak honestly. When I was not yet 5, my sister told me, after chasing off the invaders, the black dragon didn't stop, but turned the entire wilderness into ash. Then, it entrusted a piece of dragon scale to our ancestors. The black dragon, having separated itself from its power, fell into slumber. Later, the ancestors built a temple in the Dragon Gorge and ordered the village's finest warriors to guard it day and night. The thing they guarded was that black dragon scale. I know what you want to ask, but that's a holy relic our tribe has guarded for generations. Since the chief has allowed you to live among us, you can stay as long as you like. But I absolutely cannot take you into that sanctuary. After a moment of silence, Gyuyo spoke. In that case, let me take you to see something else first. Half a day later, the two reached an expanse of crimson land. Ruby was so exhausted it lay flat on the ground, and Ananta had to pick it up. Why did you bring us here? What are you trying to do? As you can see, this desert is the battlefield the black dragon left behind back then. For hundreds of years, not a single blade of grass has grown here. Don't you find that strange? If the black dragon had only ordinary fire, how could life fail to return to this land after centuries? I don't understand what you mean. You've never suspected that all of this is the black dragon's curse? What did you say? Impossible. The black dragon is the demon god's servant governing life, death, and curses. All of his powers come from the secret treasure the demon god gave him. Why would an avatar serving an evil god hand over a divine treasure to you to guard? He was merely using you, letting the demon god's curse spread over this land without end. Your parents suffered the same, and so has your sister who's critically ill and barely hanging on. The fate you're facing today is all thanks to the black dragon. And that dragon scale in your dragon gorge is the key to breaking the curse. Seeing that Ananta was wavering, Gyuyo took a glowing flower from his pack. All you need to do is place the divine tree on that dragon scale, and the black dragon's curse will be broken. You're asking me to break the village's rules? Child, I'm only giving you a choice. How you choose is up to you. In the end, Ananta let Gyuyo talk him around and led him to the temple. When the guards at the gate saw a stranger, they immediately took up attack stances. But how could ordinary mortals possibly be a match for Gyuyo? In just a single exchange, one guard was sent flying by a kick from Gyuyo. The other guard was momentarily distracted, and was knocked out cold with a punch from Gyuyo. After dealing with the second guard, Gyuyo turned and motioned for Ananta to come out. Ananta was still reeling from what he'd just witnessed, having not even seen how Gyuyo had moved. In an instant, all resistance was ended. Leave the rest to me. Stay behind me and protect that flower in your hands. And so the two slowly pushed deeper into the Black Dragon Temple in Dragon Gorge. The remaining guards had no time to react before Gyuyo felled them one by one with uncanny speed. And Ananta had no idea what kind of future he was walking into. Inside the dim secret chamber, a coffin instantly drew both their gazes. The flower in Ananta's hand seemed to be summoned, shining more and more brightly. Mr. Gyuyo, what on earth is going on? Gyuyo didn't answer him. Instead, his head lowered and his body trembled slightly. Then he burst into near-maniacal laughter. Don't be scared, Ananta. It's all right. He lifted the stone lid of the coffin, and a beam of golden light shot up, illuminating the entire chamber. The treasure inside the coffin left Ananta utterly speechless. This is the secret treasure the Black Dragon left to your ancestors back then. A jet-black dragon scale was especially striking in the golden light. It was also the Black Dragon's fatal weakness. Facing the holy relic his people had guarded for centuries, Ananta now felt nothing but panic and fear. Mr. Gyuyo, if I do what you say, can my sister really be saved? Gyuyo stared at him quietly, then slowly rested his hand on Ananta's shoulder. How can there be such a foolish human in this world as you? Those words stabbed straight into Ananta's heart like a blade. He looked up to see Gyuyo's twisted smile and a horrifying face he'd never seen before. Gyuyo grabbed Ananta, slamming him against the stone coffin. No matter how he begged or cried out, it was all in vain. The moment the flower touched the dragon scale, golden light exploded. The terror in Ananta's eyes froze at once, turning into complete despair. At the same time, Ashada jolted awake from sleep, only to find Ananta's bed completely empty. She lifted the tent flap, and what met her eyes was a scene enough to freeze her heart. The ground underfoot began to shake violently. The tremors spread deep into a nearby cave. The sleeping Dahaka snapped his eyes open. In an instant, he knew something had happened to the treasure. The furious Dahaka spread his wings like thunder. Who dares lay a hand on my treasure? As soon as he spoke, he smashed through the rock wall and flew out. The woken villagers still had no idea what was happening, until someone, voice shaking, pointed at the sky. Look over there. High above, a massive dark shape swept past, flying straight toward Dragon Gorge. After centuries of slumber, the Black Dragon's eyes burned with icy rage. By now the Black Dragon Temple was already in ruins. Ruby shouted Ananta's name in despair, but no matter how it called, Ananta did not respond. His arms had already been reduced to ash in the burst of golden light. Ruby's persistent cries finally brought Ananta barely back to consciousness. He lifted his head and looked to the top of that pillar of light. Gyuyo was standing there. His eyes were full of greed for the treasure. "I've finally found it." The instant he touched the treasure, the divine tree flower bloomed with an even more dazzling light. Gyuyo's gaze held not a trace of confusion. He simply let the massive pillar of light completely engulf him. No harm came to him, which meant the treasure had already accepted him. Without the slightest hesitation, he plunged the divine tree flower into his own body. The flower of the divine tree began to merge into his flesh and blood, tracing out a new network within him. When the light and smoke cleared, Gyuyo's transformation was complete. Just as he was about to step away, Dahaka descended from the sky and blocked his path. "Foolish mortal. Do you know what price must be paid for touching my dragon scale?" "Price? For me, right now this is the best possible outcome." Even as he spoke, several gusts of wind coiled around Gyuyo. Wings that split the air unfurled, blazing with dazzling light against the night sky. "Pleased to meet you, Dahaka. My name is Gyuyo. I am the winged avatar the goddess has enlightened in the mortal realm, and I'm also the one who will bury you here today." The storm raised by Gyuyo's transformation whipped up a sky of yellow sand. Ananta slowly lifted his head to see a sight unlike anything he had ever seen in his life. The tension between the two avatars was already at a breaking point. What puzzled Dahaka was, why did this man's body contain so many divine treasures at once? An ordinary avatar couldn't possibly withstand that kind of power. The enraged Dahaka demanded on the spot, "What did you do to the original owners of those treasures?" Dio threw his head back in laughter. "If I didn't kill them all, then where would these treasures come from?" 5 orbs of light gathered around him. With a sudden beat of his wings, all the orbs slammed straight into Dahaka. When the smoke cleared, the black dragon's form reappeared. Gyuyo instantly saw, without the blessing of his divine treasure, Dahaka was no longer the former wing of the demon god. "You're nothing but a ghostly remnant of the age of the gods. I'll drag you down for good." Those words instantly ignited Dahaka's fury. A torrent of dragon fire spewed forth. Gyuyo's figure flickered and he dodged with ease. Dahaka soared up, charging straight at him. "Don't think that just because you borrowed a few treasures you're qualified to oppose me." He chanted ancient incantations as a magic array unfurled around him. Countless massive fireballs rained down like meteors toward Gyuyo. Seeing this, Gyuyo turned to face him. "In that case, I'll let you witness for yourself the power the goddess granted me. May the light of knowledge shine upon the earth." In the next instant, Dahaka's fireball struck Gyuyo one after another, completely engulfing his form in a blinding radiance. When the light faded, the two stared at each other across the distance, both arriving at the same judgment. Dragging this out further was meaningless. They each had to unleash their strongest blow and settle it in a single strike. As they beat their wings, their ultimate powers clashed fiercely in midair. Dahaka's offensive was clearly at a disadvantage. The light broke through his skill, blasting straight toward his body. There was no way to dodge. Dahaka could only take the hit head-on. The night sky was lit up completely. Onlookers were stunned, awed by Gyuyo's might and filled with worry for Dahaka's fate. Ananta gritted his teeth and forced his body up, whispering Ashada's name over and over. Rage and guilt tangled in his heart, but at this point, what could he do? Just as he raised his head to the sky, a deafening crack exploded in his ears. The source was Dahaka's body, now full of fractures. The tide had turned. Gyuyo slowly shed his avatar form. "Dahaka, you made a fatal mistake, your arrogance and ignorance. Stripped of the demon god's power, you dare block my path with this pitiful remnant of strength? Still, that's fine, this sky doesn't need 2 living kings." With that, Gyuyo turned into a streak of light and flew toward the higher heavens. Watching him leave, one can only say that Ananta was too young back then. Like many youths, it took being brutally deceived once for him to truly become a man. On the verge of death, Dahaka asked Ananta one last question. "You led the winged avatar to the Black Dragon Temple, didn't you?" Already drowning in guilt, Ananta could only repeat, "I'm sorry," again and again. "Never thought that I, an avatar of the demon, who has slaughtered all things for hundreds of years, would feel something this unpleasant at the end. Do you think a few sorries are enough to buy my forgiveness? You will spend the rest of your life in my anger and my curse. I want you to repay me with a lifetime of remorse." Black flames devoured his flesh in an instant. The remaining fire gathered into a black dragon's head, clawing at the night sky. For Ananta, this calamity was only the beginning. His true despair was just getting started. The newly formed Dahaka spirit shot straight into the heavens. Ananta had a terrible premonition. Exactly as he feared, its destination was the village. In no time, the black dragon was coiled above the village. Raging dragon fire swept through every corner. The terrified villagers had no time to flee before they were swallowed by the flames. Ashata was among them. Screams of agony tore through the sky. Crying out his sister's name, Ananta ran madly back toward the village. What awaited him was the black dragon's pure malice and curse. That force crashed down like a burst dam, drowning him completely. It poured into his body without end. His flesh was torn apart and reborn in agony, black flame inch by inch wrapped around his heart. Again and again he was ripped apart and reassembled, the pain spreading to every cell. His arms were rebuilt in the flames as enormous dragon claws. Foolish mortal. From now on, your anger and vengeance will become the source of my power, and I will curse you forever. The scene returns once more to the present. Ananta was imprisoned in the dungeon of the warrior city. Even though he had just been utterly crushed by Gyo, his desire for revenge had never gone out. Another scene shift, and Gyo looked at the falling Ananta and murmured lightly, I didn't expect this long journey to hold this kind of surprise. We should return to the temple. At his command, the guardian walked straight over. With a soft sound, he tore open space again, creating a portal. Just as Gyo was about to leave, Nadia called out loudly to stop him. People say you are an evil being who presumptuously calls yourself a god. And this child is without doubt a true avatar. Can you tell me, who was I before I met you? Am I the same as this child? Having heard her out, Gyo only gave a cryptic smile. It's all just karma. When karma is severed, so is fate. I look forward to the day we meet again. In the royal bath of the warrior clan's palace, a figure's back could be faintly seen. Two attendants suddenly burst in. Your Majesty, Duke Bernhard has sent word from the southern outpost. The king rose at once. It's been a long time since I heard the words, good news. You two are lucky. If you'd come with more bad news, I'd already thought of a little punishment for you. According to the letter, accompanying him are an avatar and 2 humans. Is that avatar of a winged race? The blonde woman at his side answered at once. The avatar's exact identity is still unclear. It would be best if your Majesty saw for yourself. Interesting. I didn't expect Bernhard to bring me such a pleasant surprise. The south gate of the warrior city slowly opened. Nadia entered the city shoulder to shoulder with Bernhard. According to Bernhard, he, like Ananta, bore an irreconcilable hatred for the winged avatar. This time, inviting Nadia along was nominally to go to headquarters and receive her tournament prize, but in truth they had their eyes on Ananta's nearly unrestrained power. And after that battle ended, Whitefoot had inexplicably vanished. Nadia's true purpose this trip was to come to Warrior City in search of someone. The doors of the council chamber slowly opened, and inside the hall there was a solemn silence as everyone waited for the monarch to take her seat. Under her command were clouds of battle-hardened generals, each of them a real killer. Her Majesty arrives. At the guard's cry, 3 figures entered Nadia's sight together. She knew a little about the warrior clan and recognized the queen at a glance. The clan's legendary first Valkyrie queen, who harbored a visceral loathing for all winged avatars. Bernhard was just about to kneel when the queen cut him off coldly. Don't start spouting that useless ceremony as soon as we meet. I only want to hear one thing. What have you found in your investigation? At your command. As planned, we attacked several arena teams and disguised ourselves as contestants to infiltrate the tournament. Later we fought our way into the temple, and there we ran into an unforeseen variable. I encountered the winged avatar himself. At those words, the 2 female warriors changed color at once. If you dare stop halfway, swallow the rest and keep talking. I'm ashamed to say. I didn't even touch a hair on his head before he took me out in one blow. To have met that man and still made it back alive is already something. And judging by those injuries, you didn't get off lightly. These little wounds are nothing to the warriors of Warrior City. I won't shrink back because of one defeat. One day, I'll wring his neck personally. Hearing this, the queen's lips curled slightly. As expected of my warrior. And who is this at your side? Apologies, I almost forgot to introduce her. This is Nadia, Avatar of Nature. She shares our goal, and from now on will act as an ally, using her power to support our plans. If she hadn't stepped in to save me, I'd already be with the late king. The queen turned to the blonde woman to ask about the accompanying guests. Your Majesty, there are 2 in total. 1 barbarian and 1 little girl. The girl's lodging has already been arranged. As for the barbarian, due to his severe wounds he has yet to regain consciousness and remains in a coma. Well done. I'll see that you're duly rewarded. The queen strode up to Nadia. Nadia, welcome to Warrior City. My name is Lagartha. Thank you very much for helping my clan's warriors. Nadia nodded in greeting. It was only a small effort. Now that we're allies, you should tell me the real reason you asked me here. She truthfully revealed the secret of the branch within her. At the mention of the branch, Lagartha's gaze instantly sharpened. At that moment, a sharp voice cut in from the side. Your Majesty, there's no need to listen to this woman feign misery. From the moment she stepped through that door, I couldn't stand the stench of the winged avatar on her. You admitted it yourself, you've got one of his branches in your body. Lajertha's face darkened. Nadia, is that true? It is. Ever since I met the winged avatar, the branch in me has been trembling nonstop. But it's precisely because I don't understand it that I came to you for help. Lagertha then asked Bernhard if he had already told Nadia about the offshoot. Bernhard denied it at once. If this girl is the one Guillaume's been searching for all along, then for us it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. An emergency report from the guards cut the conversation short. Lagertha snapped, "This is the Royal Council chamber, not a tavern for you to shout in. 1,000 apologies, Your Majesty, but this truly is an emergency. In the slums nearest the royal city, an unknown monster has appeared and is attacking everyone." Time rewinds to not long before. Ananta slowly woke from his coma to find himself lying in a completely unfamiliar place. Beside him crouched a little girl with rabbit ears. He had no time to think about why he was here. Only one thought filled his mind: to find Guillaume and take his revenge. Reality quickly gave him the answer. His body was far from recovered. A mouthful of blood surged up his throat, spraying from his mouth. The next moment, drained of strength, he collapsed to the floor. The rabbit-eared girl went pale with fright and spun around to dash out of the room for help. Cut to another scene. Ananta staggered out into the street, and everyone around eyed him with weariness, even hostility. He himself was completely at a loss. He had no idea what this place was. There was no sky overhead. His view was walled in by stone and vaulted ceilings. Was this a city built underground? At that moment, several people came up and blocked his way. "Judging by your looks, you're not from the slums. By the rules, we have to arrest you. Resist and we kill you on the spot." Ananta sighed lightly. "In that case, you can try." Just then, a man brushed past him, seemingly talking to himself. "Has anyone seen my little one?" Ananta's gaze stopped on the tattoo on the back of the man's hand. That pattern reminded him of something someone had once told him. "Remember this symbol. It will help you find the winged avatar." Ananta reached out, wanting to stop the man. In the next instant, steel flashed. A cold blade sliced the air and came straight at his face. Fortunately, he reacted fast and just barely twisted aside to dodge the sudden strike. "Sorry," the man said coolly. "I hate people touching me from behind the most." "Sorry," Ananta's tone was just as icy, "but I hate people pointing blades at me most of all." The terrifying power he suddenly unleashed startled the man, and his body sank as he instantly retreated to create distance. Interesting. He evaluated inwardly. He looks like a man on the verge of death, so why does he radiate such murderous pressure? Ananta lifted a hand and pointed at the tattoo. "I recognize the pattern on your hand. Tell me, what's your relationship to the winged avatar?" He received no answer. What greeted him was an even fiercer assault. "I'm under no obligation to answer your questions. You want to know? Beat me first." Then, the man gathered strength and slashed at Ananta. He thought he could end the fight easily, but when the dust settled he was utterly stunned. At the last second, Ananta had manifested dragon claws. The wounds that sword aura left on the dragon claws began to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. The captain immediately ordered his men to hurry and asked the palace for reinforcements. "The power in those hands of yours is indeed rare. But at this level, you're still far from qualified to meet the winged avatar." The instant he heard the word winged, Ananta snapped. The man raised his sword to block but was sent flying by a single palm strike. The force behind that was insane. If I'd taken that claw head-on, forget my sword, I'd have a hole through me too. What bothered him even more was, the other man had clearly been in terrible shape at the start, yet he could still erupt with such terrifying strength. Under the curse's influence, Ananta suddenly staggered forward. The man seized the God-sent opportunity, thrusting his sword straight through Ananta's chest. The black flames around Ananta only flared higher, fangs sprouting from his jaw. He snapped his head up, his eyes filled with pure killing intent. A chill ran down the man's spine, and he yanked his sword free and leapt back. The next second, Ananta's roar shook the entire underground city. Bones cracked audibly all over him, and flames tore his skin, wrapping him completely. His body grew bit by bit amid the torture. Everyone around shuddered at the horrifying spectacle. With a soul-tearing roar, Ananta's body sprouted spikes all over, and a ground dragon tens of meters long took shape with a crash. He actually had another trump card hidden. The man had just drawn his sword to fight, but couldn't even track Ananta's charge. In a single blink, the giant claw was already upon him. At the same time, out of the corner of his eye he caught a familiar aura. This power, could it be? Before the claw fell, a figure sliced through the air. Lagertha vaulted up with sword in hand. "Cause trouble on my turf? Do you want to be deep-fried or steamed?" In short order, the guards had Ananta completely surrounded. Nadia arrived and shouted anxiously, "Lagertha, stop. He's not our enemy. This monster has already endangered my people." No matter who he is, there's no way I'm letting him go today. Then Ananta's eyes shifted subtly. The giant dragon claw suddenly swept sideways, leaving Lager the completely baffled. What the hell is this guy doing? The next scene made everyone break into a cold sweat. Ananta drove his claw deep into his own neck. With both claws exerting force, he ripped his dragon head in half. The huge body collapsed. While everyone else was still paralyzed with fear, Nadia knew Ananta had only done this for one reason. He would rather destroy himself than be controlled any longer by the Black Dragon's curse. Looking at the man who fought the curse with his own body and will, even Lagerda couldn't help but feel a trace of respect. Soon after, an emergency meeting was convened in the Royal Council chamber. Right now, Ananta is locked in the dungeon. Nadia remains ready under royal guard. You all know why I called this meeting. This concerns our future with these two avatars. How long can you keep such a dangerous, unstable guy locked up? Better to finish him now. Lupa, your way of doing things is really too crude. I actually find his power very interesting. If we could turn him into an ally, that would be best. Before Tarkhan could speak, Lupa had already snapped, "Shut it," into Owl's face. Bernhard, did you already know about his powers before bringing him here? Yes, and I saw them with my own eyes. The hatred between him and the winged avatar is beyond doubt. Are you kidding me? You brought that kind of monster into the city without even a warning. I knew his arrival would stir up unrest in the kingdom. But even if some people object, I still think this is a necessary step. His power is far beyond what we saw today. If we can help him control it, he'll become a weapon powerful enough to surpass all of us. They agreed after hearing him. That made Lupa completely lose it, and he rounded on Owl. Didn't you already fight that guy? With your skills you still couldn't take him. As the first one to get involved in this, it may sound strange for me to judge him. But he really does have the immense potential Bernhard mentioned. If your majesty hadn't intervened, there's no way both sides would have come away unscathed. And his powers go beyond what we just saw. Owl's words left Lupa utterly dumbfounded. Lagertha made a swift decision and called out loudly, "Come in, Rabbit Envoy." At the queen's summons, a familiar figure stepped into the chamber. Long time no see, everyone. Miss me. The scene cuts to the dungeon of Warrior City. To prevent Ananta from rampaging again, they had him bound tight with heavy chains. The door suddenly swung open, and the clear clack of high heels echoed in the corridor. I thought you might be a little shy when you saw me. Seems I was overthinking it. Yes, that look. Every time you stare at me like that, I can't help getting so excited my heart goes thump thump thump. Time goes back to not long before. In the Royal Council chamber of Warrior City, Whitefoot's arrival made everyone freeze for a moment. You little rascal, how did you even get in here? However, Owl's attention fell instead on the girl at her side. Her name was Raclette, the demi-human girl who had been looking after Ananta earlier. You little troublemaker, you made me look for you for so long. Come on, tell me, how did you end up coming in here together with Whitefoot? Raclette answered very seriously, Big Sister Whitefoot has a golden pocket watch. After it started glowing, we suddenly appeared here. When Bernhard sternly questioned Whitefoot about her purpose, Lagertha spoke up in her defense. Not long ago, Whitefoot already came to Warrior City. Her goal this time is to form an alliance with us, and provide power sufficient to oppose the winged avatar. At first I thought she was crazy, but now it seems many things are unfolding exactly as she said they would. I'm very interested in your proposal. Name your terms. Whitefoot immediately clapped and smiled. My family hopes to secure long-term cooperation with Warrior City. In return, you'll not only gain intel on the winged avatar, you'll also receive combat support from the Avatar of Vengeance. No sooner had she finished speaking than the aura behind her tightened sharply. It made Whitefoot's hair stand on end in fright. It's over, this time I really might die right here. Everyone turned toward the source of the voice. From the passage behind Whitefoot, someone slowly walked out. Good job, Whitefoot. You sell me off like merchandise the moment my back is turned? As Raclette turned around, Ruby, who had been listless and sickly, immediately sprang back to full health the instant he saw the newcomer. Crying as he shouted, "Big bro," he bolted straight over. There's no need for talk of cooperation. The winged avatar must be dealt with by my own hands. Wasn't this guy supposed to be locked up? Lupa's claws instantly manifested, ready to leap at any moment. She didn't yet know that all the guards watching Ananta had already fallen under Blackfoot's sway. Your Majesty, give the order. I can't wait to tear this guy into pieces. Calm down, Lupa. I want to hear about him first, then decide. The reason Lagertha cared so much about Ananta was precisely because of the dense scars all over his body. Scars are a warrior's metals, and within Ananta, she could clearly feel a near-maniacal life force. Among all the avatars she had met, there wasn't a single one who could compare. Whitefoot, a bit embarrassed, introduced him to everyone. This is my clan's secret weapon, the Avatar of Vengeance, Ananta. In the next second, a big hand grabbed her by the head. When did I become your personal property? Have I gone too long without hitting you, so your skin's gotten itchy again? No, how could you be my property? I wouldn't dare. Before she could finish, because his body still hadn't fully recovered, Ananta's weight shifted and he toppled forward. Blackfoot caught him around the waist and kept him steady. The feel of these arms, truly mouth-watering. Ananta knew very well that once he met this woman's gaze, he would most likely fall under the charm of those crimson eyes again. Seeing this, Blackfoot immediately teased, "You don't look very happy. How about I keep you company instead?" After being toyed with by these two women, Ananta's temper flared up in a flash, and his grip on Whitefoot's head tightened again. Can this guy really beat the winged avatar? Lujertha's sudden remark cut through the ruckus between the two. At that moment Whitefoot felt nothing but gratitude toward Lagertha. "We may not know your past, but we understand very well how you feel about revenge. As you can see, everyone here shares the same goal, to destroy the winged avatar at any cost. It's hatred of the winged avatar that has brought us all together. That includes Owl, who was butting heads with you earlier. He once belonged to a clan that followed the winged avatar, but their entire tribe was slaughtered by him over a single treasure. Ever since, he swore he would surely take his revenge on Wings. So it's very clear to me, deep in your heart, you harbor practically endless killing intent toward the winged avatar. Can you tell me your name?" "My name is Lagertha. I am the king of this warrior city." Only then did Ananta let go of Whitefoot's head. "Since you want to know whether I can take care of the winged avatar, I'll tell you about my power. The black dragon's curse has the ability to devour. The more undead beasts I eat, the stronger I become. If any idiot among you dares hold me back, I don't mind having an extra course and taking his power as well." Lupa exploded on the spot. "You heard that, your majesty? This brat is way too cocky." Lagertha, however, was quite pleased, merely raising a hand to motion Lupa to sit. That bone-deep arrogance and madness of Anantas actually made him all the more attractive to Lagertha. As expected of the man in this king has set her sights on. "In the name of the Queen of Warrior City, I promise you this. From this day forth, Warrior City formally enters into alliance with you. Skald, Mayor, hear my order. You two, go bring Nadia here. At once, your majesty, we depart now." Meanwhile, in the depths of a certain temple, a man slowly approached. He was one of the elite warriors under the winged avatar, named Bahiran. Not only did he control spatial teleportation, the destructive force within his fists was unparalleled. Avatars on his level, including Ziz, numbered 4 others in the temple. One can easily imagine what kind of sparks will fly when they clash with the avatars of Warrior City in the future. Ziz's former body was the undead bone bird taken away by Balzac. Now reborn, he had awakened the power of thunder as well. And at this moment, the superboss Gyuyo was preparing to do something utterly outrageous, create life. And not just ordinary people, but avatars with special powers. As Bahiran brought his fists together, a massive spatial portal immediately quaked open behind him. They stepped through slowly, and from the other side came a cacophony of frenzied roars. Beneath Gyuyo and the others, countless undead beasts gazed upward at the gods above them. Looking down at the undead beasts at his feet, Gyuyo spoke slowly. "Remember this. The gods have abandoned you. You have lost all dignity, fallen completely into the hands of the evil god. You will never again return to your original form. You have become beings who are ignored. But what wrong have you done? You are the victims. Is this the ending you desire? Will you accept such a fate? I am the bridge that links the mortal world and the divine realm. If in your hearts you bear thoughts of blaspheming the gods, you can cast off these loathsome, base bodies. Now, show me your worth. The last one among you still standing will receive the grace of the wings." The moment he finished, the fighting spirit of the undead beast surged sky-high. A 4-armed giant ape swung a charged punch, blasting the beast beside it into shreds on the spot. The other beasts also threw themselves into a bloody melee. Seeing this, Gyuyo gave a satisfied smile. Roars and wails filled the entire valley as every beast tried to prove itself before the god. The scene shifts back to Warrior City. Escorted by 2 guards, Nadia arrived at the royal council chamber. Lagertha welcomed her warmly, but Nadia's gaze went straight to Ananta. Her expression said she was utterly speechless. Ananta was holding a loli by the left hand, while a vixen clung to his arm. But she quickly noticed something off about him. "Is your body not fully recovered because of the curse? Or is there some other reason?" "Nadia, relax," Lagertha said. "The guards have already withdrawn their watch on you. I've just finished discussing an alliance with Ananta as well. From now on, you and Ananta are officially members of our nation's alliance." "Hold on, I never agreed to ally with you yet." Bernhardt hurried to explain. "Even if it's only a temporary alliance, we still have to be united when it comes to dealing with the winged avatar. To stand against the winged avatar, we need your power." When he spoke of Nadia, his expression became especially grave, because the story he was about to tell would be extremely cruel to her. Nadia, however, replied calmly, "From the moment I stepped into Warrior City, I was already prepared. I don't want to keep muddling through life like this." After thinking for a moment, Lagertha slowly uttered 3 syllables. "Mistelton. That is the name of the branch of the Otherworld tree inside you," Bernhard mentioned in his report. "You saw an undead beast turn into an avatar in the White Lotus Temple, didn't you?" At those words, Nadia immediately thought of that twisted smiling face. Mistelton is a gift the winged avatar bestowed upon undead beasts. It contains an immense amount of energy, enough to forcibly twist a hideous beast into a humanoid form. The undead beast's power will complete an evolution in the process. Nadia was stunned. "You mean?" Bernhard nodded solemnly. "That's right. The reason you possess your current power is entirely due to the influence of the winged avatar. And your original form was very likely also some kind of undead beast." After hearing this, Nadia was at a loss and asked in confusion, "If the winged avatar has power on par with the gods, why would he use it on undead beasts? Why not simply grant it directly to his avatars?" Lagertha gave the answer. "Because Mistelton's power is far from limited to that. It can not only turn undead beasts into humanoid forms, it can also do the reverse, turn avatars into undead-type beasts." At this point, Lagertha began to tell the story of the day she personally witnessed her homeland's destruction. After Wing descended, everyone still alive had no choice but to flee. Gravely injured, I was carried onto a boat and, from the receding sea, watched my homeland swallowed by flames and black mist. Then what happened next is something I will never forget. An avatar with 6 wings slowly descended above the royal city. He scattered radiance like starlight, which fell upon every corner of the land. The earth began to shake violently, and then a massive black shadow burst up from within the castle, tearing the entire city apart. In that moment, the undead beast's roar was deafening. You could hear it clearly even from leagues away. That undead unicorn was the Valkyrie's avatar and the guardian of the royal family for generations. At this point in the story, Ananta raised a new question. "So by your logic, this woman is either under Guyo or an undead beast. But no matter how you look at her, she's way too weak. And that's exactly why she's special," Bernhard cut in. "We suspect Nadia is one of Guyo's long-sought targets. She might be the one, closest to the otherworld horizon." Ananta felt his head spinning. "What kind of nonsense is that supposed to be?" Lagertha gave a brief explanation. "It's a myth passed down through generations of our royal line. The so-called Otherworld Horizon is the very first spatial rift torn open in the world when the Otherworld tree was born. The winged avatar's ultimate goal is to invade the gods' otherworld through that horizon. Guyo keeps creating avatars because he wants to cultivate them into saplings of the Otherworld tree. However, Mistelton's internal energy is far too massive, and ordinary beasts simply can't withstand it. In the brutally painful process of evolution, only a tiny fraction survive and manage to control that power. As for those beasts who cannot endure it, there's only one outcome." Gathering her thoughts, Lagertha continued to address everyone. "What happens next is the key point of this meeting. I need the 2 of you to help investigate more intel regarding Mistelton. Our target of investigation is the unicorn avatar who, more than 20 years ago, fell from Valkyrie to undead beast." Night fell. Whitefoot and Nadia were chatting quietly, and soon Ananta's strange behavior caught their attention. Whitefoot explained to Nadia, "Though Ananta can gain the powers of undead beasts by devouring them, if he goes too long without feeding he gradually loses his reason and becomes a monster. Fortunately, Blackfoot is here at crucial moments. Whenever Ananta is about to lose control, Blackfoot uses her charm ability to suppress him. But that's ultimately just treating the symptoms, not the cause." Whitefoot nodded, then brought up a deal to Nadia. "As long as you're willing to help Ananta get through this, I'll use my family's strength to protect you. After all, you are also one of Guyo's targets and will be hunted sooner or later." To Whitefoot's surprise, Nadia refused on the spot. "I have to figure out the past buried in my memories. So even without any deal, I'll still do everything I can to help Ananta." Whitefoot had no choice but to lay all the intel on the table. Lagertha has already begun planning to reclaim the ancient capital of the kingdom. That cursed land is called Farsa. Its current ruler is the very Valkyrie she mentioned who has fallen into an undead beast, one of the 6 great avatars, the unicorn avatar. He is very likely hiding clues crucial to Mistelton. Before she could finish, Ananta got up and cut into their conversation. "Shut it, you shady info peddler. You say, investigation, but your goal is just to have me take out that unicorn, isn't it? Like I wouldn't figure that out? Hurry up and take me to the next hunting ground. Don't be hasty." Whitefoot forced a smile. "We haven't even reached the point where the main force moves out yet." 3 mornings later, Lagertha gathered 100 warriors into an expedition force. It included 3rd Squad Captain All and 4th Squad Captain Lupa. The 2 of them would each lead a team as vanguards headed to the ancient capital in the land of Farsa. Their mission as the advance party was to establish a forward base on the front line. The ultimate goal of this operation was not only that unicorn, but to completely reclaim their lost homeland. At Lajertha's cry of "Depart," the morale of both units soared to its peak. For the sake of battle, Blackfoot released her charm hold on Ananta. In an extremely sultry tone, she asked in his ear, "Well? Feeling excited?" "More than excited, this hunger is driving me insane. In my current state, I could eat 3 beasts the size of Nadia." Whitefoot pressed the teleport pocket watch, and a giant spatial gate slowly opened. It was their first time returning to their homeland in over 20 years. They meant to reclaim not only their land, but the dignity lost over those decades. The other end is open. Everyone may depart. A little later, on the borders of the land of Farsa, Owl and Lupa were hurrying toward the teleport gate. "Strange, why is the fog so thick here?" Lupa quickly sensed something strange in the air. No mistake. She immediately signaled to Owl that undead beasts were ahead. Sure enough, below them, an undead beast was looking up at them. Just then, Nadia's figure appeared in everyone's sight. Dozens of thick roots burst from the cliff face, coalescing into a warhorse formed entirely of wooden battle aura. The warhorse charged straight at the undead beast, and the force of the drop was tremendous. It sheared off one of its legs in an instant. This thing's defense is insane. Nadia's blow packed that much power, and it's still standing? The undead beast suddenly felt a wave of pressure bearing down on it. When it looked up, Ananta's figure was already before it. With just one palm strike, Ananta smashed the beast's head to pieces. Everyone was stunned. Owl laughed. "Now you must believe I wasn't exaggerating before, right? I didn't expect this mission to be even more fun than I imagined. Pray that big doesn't come along often. For humans, the land of Farsa has been off limits for over 20 years. But for us, this is just the beginning." Soon after, Warrior City's forces arrived one after another in Farsa. Having just devoured a monster, the Black Dragon's curse was triggered once more. Blackfoot had to stay glued to Ananta's side to keep him from going berserk. "It's really strange, it should be morning now, but there's not a trace of sunlight in this forest." Nadia shot Ruby a look. Ruby understood, and a torrent of fire instantly swallowed the undead beast. No one knew where such a small lizard got that much power. The war had only just started, and Lupa was already itching for trouble. When she glanced over, she caught Ananta just sitting there. "That guy's been sitting here doing nothing ever since we arrived. It really ticks me off." Seeing this, I'll quickly try to calm her. "You're being way too obvious with your grudge. Before we left, Lagarthe already told us, Ananta and Nadia will be heading to the southern forest of the ancient capital to establish a forward base. In the past, the unicorn avatar had stationed large numbers of beasts there to ward off intruders. Now that area has become undead beasts' territory. Whitefoot's teleportation can only get us to safe zones free of monsters. It can't drop us directly beyond that front. So the vanguard must clear every obstacle in the southern forest. That task is extremely dangerous. Ananta and Nadia will fight alongside you as allied members. Whatever you think of them, the Queen has recognized them as comrades. So from now on we fight shoulder to shoulder." Lupa's eyes glinted fiercely. "How can people of unknown origin be called comrades? Calling him a comrade is an insult to our forebears. Only those who can entrust their lives to each other deserve that word." She said it and did it. The wild avatar was truly wild. She strode up to Ananta and opened with a bombshell. "You kill one monster and already need a break? Can't cut it, can you? And this bunny, can't move a step without her at your side, huh?" Ananta sighed helplessly. "If you've got something to say, get to the point. The Queen seems very interested in your power, but I'm not. When you transform, you're clearly holding back on your strength. That proves you can't fully control it at all. You're basically a time bomb that could go off any moment." Ananta stood and met her gaze. "I said, get to the point." Lupo bristled. "Still pretending you don't get it? I'm telling you to get out of this unit. If you refuse, I'll tear you to pieces right now." The tension between them shot through the roof. Just as they were about to come to blows, a slender jade hand extended, and pink light drifted like silk. In the next instant, Lupo was teleported into a cave full of bones. "Where am I?" Blackfoot hurriedly tried to calm Ananta. "Take a step back, don't cause trouble. Don't forget why we're here." Ananta turned his head and snapped back. "You dare order me around?" He hadn't expected that offhand remark to make Blackfoot flip her finger in the opposite direction. "If little brother doesn't behave, big sis will have to punish you." "Got it, you're the fiercest, whatever you say goes." The next second, Ananta suddenly felt something off and shoved Blackfoot aside with a heavy swing of his arm. "Your courage has gotten bigger, huh? Daring to use that much force on big sis." But when Blackfoot saw what was in front of them, it was already too late. A huge gaping maw opened up before Ananta. With a crunch, it swallowed them both whole. Everyone stared, dumbfounded. When did that snake even show up? After gulping them down, the giant snake turned and fled. Owl immediately ordered, 10 of you, with me, after it. They had barely taken a few steps when a strange tremor came from the ground. The thundering of hooves rapidly approached. It was a herd of horse-shaped undead beasts. The dust billowed. There were at least dozens of them. Nadia swung her little cudgel and murmured a bird-like spell. A thick tree branch burst from the ground, skewering several of the beasts charging in front. The others piled in and, in an instant, blocked off any path for pursuit. Without taking down this herd, there was no way to rescue Ananta and Blackfoot. Meanwhile, deep within the forest, the giant snake had already carried the two to a deserted place. This is hilarious. I don't know what this snake is thinking. It really thinks it can digest me with this meager stomach acid? Ananta pressed his palms together and instantly took on his black dragon form. His dragon claws dug deep into the snake's body, shredding it from within. Then, unleashing his full power, he burst out through its flesh. The giant snake let out a scream of agony, then crashed to the ground. Panting, Ananta climbed out of its belly, and still didn't forget to grab his spoils of war. After they rested a while, Lupa slowly opened her eyes. She had no memory at all of what had just happened. Feeling better? Ananta asked calmly. Then he quickly lowered his head, pretending he had seen nothing. Lupa was completely baffled. What did you see? Out with it. Then, as she processed it, her ears stood up and her face flushed bright red. Ananta gestured toward the giant snake's corpse nearby. Seems you don't remember nearly becoming dessert. At that moment, Lupa finally understood. At the most critical moment, it was this man in front of her who had saved her. However, Ananta also admitted, my strength is about spent. For a while, I'll barely be able to move. Lupa hurriedly pressed him on what had happened while she was unconscious. Just then, Ananta again sensed something wrong, and grabbed Lupa by the wrist. In the subtle tension of that moment, just as she opened her mouth to ask, Ananta suddenly clapped a hand over it. Dozens of giant snakes, following their scent, had surrounded them completely. A prickling sense of dread made Ananta uneasy. These giant snakes were not undead beasts, yet they seemed to be searching for them with a clear purpose. Lupa gently pried his hand away and asked if he wanted to go head-on. Ananta shook his head. Right now I can't fully control the curse, especially with Blackfoot not here. If it flares up, I might go berserk. They had only two options. Either transform and force their way out through a bloodbath, or avoid a direct clash and try to get back to camp to regroup with their allies. Ananta left the choice to Lupa. Lupa gave a third answer. Find a chance to break out of the forest and head to the designated destination first, just the two of them. What's more, the number of snakes was still climbing. Even if their allies arrived, they couldn't win and would only draw even worse trouble. Ananta thought it made sense. So what do we do next? Frowning, Lupa hesitated and forced out, there is a way. But you'll have to hug me from behind. No time to explain, hurry up and get on. Sensing the shift in the air currents, the giant snakes surged toward them. Before they could react, a shadow streaked past. But there were just too many of them, and one ended up in front. The snake had barely opened its jaws when the dark blur flashed by and shredded its upper body. How many of you always thought she was a cat? And it turns out, this wild avatar is actually a wolf. The snakes, recovering their wits, gave chase with everything they had, but they couldn't come close to matching Lupa's speed. In no time, the two of them had reached the edge of the forest. There, a mysterious figure blocked their path. Ananta spotted the issue at once. That emblem is one only those under the winged avatar have the right to wear. In other words, this guy in front of us was definitely sent by Guyo. Those giant snakes in the forest must be tied to him as well. The old man spoke, his voice hoarse and icy. No living beings are allowed to pass here. His shadow twisted, and several black snakes slithered out of it and shot toward the two of them. As the shadows reached Ananta's feet, they surged up again from below. The black snakes were far faster than Ananta had expected. This time, he truly couldn't dodge. Lupa understood just how bad it was, and immediately flung Ananta away. Black snakes wrapped tightly around her, biting deep into each of her joints as the venom spread quickly. In the last moment before her vision went black, all she saw was Ananta's rage exploding. Wherever his dragon claws swung, only shattered serpent bodies remained. With her strength spent, Lupa shed her avatar form. Even as she lost consciousness, she didn't forget to mock Ananta. You had the chance to run, why come back? Ananta held her tightly in his arms. From the moment we met, you've always treated me like a weakling, and you even risked your life to protect me. In the distance, the old man laughed impatiently. All right, this ends now. Your struggle is pointless. Soon, I'll send you down to join her. Old bastard, you touched someone you absolutely shouldn't have. I didn't transform into a dragon because I was afraid of hurting bystanders. Since you're so set on dying, then obediently become my father and go to hell. Lupa was already at death's door from the venom. Without the slightest hesitation, Ananta sank his teeth into her. Don't waste your effort. With your skills, you can't save that woman. The venom of my black snakes is a blend of hundreds of toxins. Other than an avatar with regeneration powers, no one can purge it. In under half an hour, she'll surely die. Funny that. I happen to know an avatar with regeneration powers. Now that I know how long she can last, this gets simple. Lupa, lie still. I'm going to skin this snake and bring you home. Don't, Ananta. That serpent avatar is dangerous. Forget about me, just go. Before she could finish, the killing intent around Ananta exploded into something almost tangible. Izan recognized at a glance that Ananta's avatar was a curse clinging to his flesh. This was exactly the man Behiran had mentioned in his report. In that case, I've no reason to hold back. I am the serpent handler avatar under Lord Wing. I'm the one who will kill you here. As soon as he spoke, the serpent behind him lashed out like lightning. One bite was enough to paralyze the entire body. But what happened next was beyond even Izan's expectations. Ananta was on him in an instant, his dragon claws driving straight for the vital point. At the very last instant, the giant snake behind Izan lunged out, taking the lethal blow for its master. A chill ran through Izan's heart. This brat is that fast? Before he could react, Ananta sprang up again from the ground, his dragon claws piercing through Izan's chest. Izan cackled, and countless serpents surged out of the wound, wrapping Ananta's arm tight. The overwhelming force made even Ananta pause in surprise. All the serpent shadows flowed back into one point, forming a massive, crushing body. It was several times larger and heavier than Ananta's black dragon form. Kid, your avatar is indeed powerful. But before the Emperor Serpent avatar, you're just a weakling. Where's that bravado about skinning me? Run out already? In truth, it wasn't that Ananta couldn't go into his third stage, but that if he did, the curse would completely slip out of control. When that happened, its devouring force might even swallow Lupa as well. In her current state, never mind escaping the black dragon's maw, even standing would be a miracle. To protect this woman who had thrown herself in harm's way for him, Ananta chose the hardest path. He took on all the damage with his bare flesh and looked for a chance for a killing blow in the gaps between attacks. Looking at his back, Lupa seemed to recall something Lagartha had once said. Comrades can entrust their lives to one another. Even if you've only just arrived in Warrior City, I'm willing to lay down my life for you. Reality snapped back. Lupa transformed again into her wild avatar form. This time was different. Her entire body was covered in crimson markings, burning her own life for a short burst of immense power. Just as Izan's fully powered punch was about to land, Lupa moved. He didn't even feel pain yet before he realized his arm had vanished. Lupa's form became a streak of crimson lightning in the night. No matter how he searched, Izan couldn't track her movements. Just as he was about to finally lock onto her, that crimson light hit again. 8 streams of light ricocheted back and forth inside the Emperor Serpent's body, shattering everything they touched. On the outside, it looked like the Emperor Serpent had only paused, but in truth the streaks inside were still crossing wildly. With a single horrific scream, Izan's meridians and muscles were all severed. In that brief exchange, Ananta was left utterly speechless. Having spent all her power, Lupa looked back at Ananta. I'm sorry, Ananta. I probably won't make it back. You have to live. As soon as she finished, her body collapsed, and the crimson marks faded away. Seeing this, Ananta's rage completely smashed through his reason. His third-stage black dragon form erupted into a frenzy. A terrifying blood-red killing aura swept the field. The once arrogant Emperor Serpent was now nothing more than prey to be ripped apart bite by bite. With a massive chomp, the Emperor Serpent was shredded. Inside his stomach, the serpent was set upon by the beasts within, gnawing madly. Each devouring meant a new ally joined the pack. As the wings of a bird-shaped demon pierced the Emperor Serpent's body, the Mistletoe inside him cracked as well. With his last breath, Izan screamed out, Quetzalcoatl. Moments later, on the silent battlefield, a new figure appeared. It was Quetzalcoatl, the form of the Emperor Serpent's tail. Within Izan, the two of them were twin-born avatars. As long as one avatar remained within, his body could be reshaped. At that moment, after devouring Mistletoe, Ananta's body began to change. His third-stage black dragon form slowly faded. His consciousness returned, and he realized Quetzalcoatl was nowhere to be seen. At the same time, a strange, unfamiliar sensation arose within him. His second-stage dragon form now brimmed with power that felt on the verge of overflowing, and even his senses had become drastically sharper. He quickly realized this was the result of devouring Mistletoe. It was like having an eternal flame inside him, endlessly feeding him energy. The surging strength left Ananta torn between pain and exhilaration, still nowhere near enough. Through Mistletoe's resonance, he sensed some kind of disturbance deep in the sky. Up there was an avatar with the same aura as the Emperor Serpent, also harboring the other half of Mistletoe. Ananta instantly realized it was Izan's not yet fully destroyed remains. As his wings spread, the black dragon's mind echoed with a single thought. Kill him, take the Mistletoe inside him. Just as he was about to take off and pursue, his vision caught the unmoving Lupa lying on the ground. Catching that sluggish flying serpent wouldn't be hard. But with every moment wasted, Lupa's life was slipping away. After a brief moment of clarity, Ananta chose to give up the chase. Meanwhile, at the edge of the forest camp, Owl led his squad in wiping out the final group of beasts. As his sword pierced the undead beast's heart, the forest fell into long-lost silence. But Owl still had the nagging feeling something was off. He just couldn't put it into words. Nadia felt the same. Although these undead beasts had stormed into camp, they hadn't dealt any decisive damage or deliberately gone after humans. After a moment's thought, Owl could only think of one possibility. That means we were never their target. It's more like they saw something even more terrifying, and fled in mass from deep within the forest. Blackfoot's sudden appearance cut their discussion short. Now's not the time for analysis. What matters most is finding Ananta and Lupa. Without my control, there's a high chance Ananta will go berserk. As she spoke, the guards on watch heard a strange rumbling from the sky. Half an hour after she blacked out, Lupa slowly opened her eyes. If she hadn't heard people talking around her, she would have thought she was already dead. Nadia was shocked to see her awake. By her estimation, with Lupa's injuries she shouldn't have been conscious for days. Lupa's first question was about Ananta's whereabouts. When she tried to get up, Nadia pressed her down at once. Your wounds have only just been bandaged. Any later and the venom would have reached your heart. At that point, even with my magic, I might not have been able to save you. Thankfully, Ananta carried you back without stopping. Finding out that Ananta had carried her back made Lupa's face redden instantly, and she hurried to ask whether that idiot had been hurt. Out of nowhere, Ananta cut in from not far away. So you can skip the thanks, but you're still calling me an idiot behind my back? To think I gave up a big meal just so your little life wouldn't end there. Are you alright? I just saw you take hundreds of punches with my own eyes. With your condition, you've got a lot of nerve worrying about me. Ananta shot her a look. Next time keep a cooler head and don't charge in at the drop of a hat. I don't intend to spend my life in debt for saving you. With that, he turned and left, leaving Lupa and Nadia staring at each other. This man really doesn't know how to say a kind word. Even so, whenever Lupa saw Ananta, that nameless restless feeling surged up inside her again. Owl, on the other hand, reassured everyone they didn't need to worry. Lupa's wild avatar already has strong regeneration. After thanking Ananta again, he took the chance to ask what had happened to him in the forest. His name is Izan, an avatar who can summon black snakes from shadows. He was sent by Gyuyo? Judging from his emblem and the mistletoe in him, it's a sure thing. The way his black snakes attacked clearly targeted our key combatants. That means he already has plenty of intel on us. Will he come for another ambush later? With the injuries he's got now, he shouldn't show up again soon. But I devoured his avatar and took half a mistletoe. Because of that, I can clearly sense he's already taken root inside me. Blackfoot mused, so the curse in Ananta's body has stabilized. I didn't expect that thing's power could be used like this. If Ananta manages to seize the other half of Mistelton, the results might be even more unexpected. Hey, talk all you like, but stop leaning on me. Ananta frowned. I'll explain to everyone. This serpent handler avatar named Izan holds the 6th seat of the Holy See. Those seats are all personally chosen by Gyuyo. Their duty is to serve as the winged avatar's guardians. Only 10 beings are qualified to receive Mistelton. Among all undead beasts, they hold the highest rank. And the top 5 seats possess the greatest power and are also the teachers of the lower 5. So Izan's appearance means one thing. One of the top 5 guardians under Gyuyo will also appear on this battlefield. Among those 5 is an exceptionally terrifying being. A single move from him can be enough to trigger natural disasters. The scene shifts again to the skies above the old royal castle of the ancient capital. Right now Izan was shaking all over like a terrified chicken. What terrified him was not Ananta, who had just fought him, but the tall, burly man in front of him. Who did this to you? You'd better be honest before I get angry. He's the one Behiran mentioned in his report. One of my twin serpents has already been half taken by him. Answer me, what is your mission? You ordered me to blockade the road to Farsa and eliminate all who might hinder you. My lord, I never once forgot your commands. It's just that this guy's powers are so bizarre. The man before Izan was the Holy See's 2nd seat, the avatar of government. Beneath his cold exterior lay a fearsome name, Gayan. Cut the crap. Lead the way. I'm going to crush this guy with my own hands.